what happened to the middle class?
Middle class.
There was a video about how the middle class has been disappearing, and what can we do to restore it. Elizabeth Warren, also another Democratic candidate for the presidency, was talking about how we need to mobilize the consumers, because of what has been happening is that the power balance has been shifting very much in favor of the companies. For example, when it comes to insurance, banking, companies have been investing a lot of money in legal support. Companies like EY, etc., who enable them to create policies and regulations that are very intransparent for regular civilians. So they get loans, they get insurance, where they're under the impression that they are covered, but it turns out that there are all kinds of like rules and regulations which are completely intransparent for an average consumer. So she's okay. If we want to restore the power balance, we need to empower the regular civilians, and we need to create institutions that can stand up against these banks and against these financial institutes. Then last week we were looking at the inequality and well-being, which shows very clearly that it's not the absolute income that determines well-being of people. So it's not the difference between average income in the United States and the average income in the Netherlands, for example, that explains the difference in well-being. It's actually the income gap between the highest income and the lowest income that is shows a very clear correlation between problems in society and the income gap. There is a very clear correlation, but if you try to look at the absolute average income between countries, there is almost zero correlation. So the income gap is actually one of the main problems. Now, what has not been addressed very often, and what I'd like to look at today, and what Trump is not talking about, what Le Pen is not talking about, what the Brexit movement is not talking about. They are pointing the finger at globalization, at immigration, about unfair competition, etc. But one of the main influencers of the future will be is actually technological development, AI, blockchain. There are a lot of developments at the moment which will have a lot of impact on the position of the workers versus the people who own the capital. So today I would like to look at the role of technology and what impact that will have on society. So these are just a few headlines that shows what we can read in the papers. We read about it in the papers, but there are not so many politicians who touch upon these items.
Automation, that means RPA.
Automation in general, not necessarily. It's more generic. Automation is anything that you would do manually that has been replaced by something automized by machines, software, anything that doesn't require humans.
Okay.
So automation is a more of generic bucket term. Anything that replaces humans for machines, or software, or anything else.
But I think automation makes high productivity. That means income or the salary is will be increased.
So, but actually, this is the point. Actually, so but who will get the income? If we look at, for example, so but really, like if we look at AWS, like Amazon, Amazon,
Yeah.
Amazon, they revolutionized the retail industry.
Mm.
They brought it from the shop floor
Yeah.
to basically to the warehouses. They reduced the chain, the value chain,
Yes.
and took out the middleman, the supermarkets. So that meant that the profitability of supermarkets came under pressure. That meant that supermarkets were not capable of or able or willing to hire shop staff or actually reduce the shop staff. So that actually, basically, you could say that Amazon created a lot of value because they could bring goods to us at a lower price than we would get from the supermarket. So, hey, fantastic, we make more money. But who got all that money? Steve Bezos and his ex-wife. He got all the money. Who else benefited from this? Nobody.
Many corporate pools their profit.
Yes. So all the profit goes to a very small group.
A small
A
group.
very small group. The Amazon workers, the owners, the people who put capital in there, and then there is a small group of people who do all the distribution. Who also you can clearly see there are more people who do the courier services. And we see people going around bicycles the city these days. But at the same time, we see people losing their jobs who work in the supermarkets. Supermarkets are closing. There are less and less supermarkets nowadays. What you see, for example, 15 years ago, almost every station had an electronics shop, like a big camera or whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Mm.
I think maybe half. Because
Yes,
people
I
buy
think that's,
direct.
actually.
Yeah, but I mean, what happened to all those people? They lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And where did the value go? It basically got into the hands of somebody who, or a very limited number of people. And then if we look at how much tax are these people paying, less than people are paying who are actually running big camera and all the others, and the Yamada Denki and what have you. So, yes, you're right. Overall GDP may grow,
Yeah.
overall revenue, but how are we going to make sure that that revenue, that extra value, is actually being allocated fairly? And this is where universal basic income comes into play, and other, and how are we going to effectively tax this revenue? Because the problem is dividing it equally. If we don't divide it equally, we get problems like we have in the United States, with much higher percentage of people in prisons, with much more problems, health problems with children, with all kinds of other societal problems that are the result of this growing income gap. Japan so far has been doing great relative to other countries, but we are also seeing a raising gap in society, and technology will definitely contribute to that. A lot of people will lose their job because of automation, and it's usually the people who need their job. It's the taxi drivers, it's the factory workers, it's everything that people who do not whose job can be automated, because it's a kind of like process work that costs people their job. So this graph, for example, it shows it's the number of telephonists. You remember back in the old days, people, if you want to make a call, you go to a central hub, and then there are people literally connecting them by hand. Once that became automated, you see, bang, that's what happened to all the telephonists.
Edison, nowadays, especially United States, consumer consumption is 70% in the GDP. If people goes poverty, 70% will going down to the, for example, 6%, 50%. That makes nation states income will be bad. And the big company who could pull the huge money, the skill of the tax poverty,
Tax evasion.
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 Yeah. Its skill is very good, high.
Yes.
And that occasion, nation state could not get a tax.
Exactly. So they do not have the capacity to get taxes
Yeah.
from Facebook, because Facebook can be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
They can be in the United States, but
Mm.
they can also they can just open a headquarters on the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Islands, there is zero income tax. So what stops them to actually open their headquarters in Cayman Islands? Trump recently announced that he would be no longer a citizen of New York. He would become a citizen of Florida,
Yeah.
because he said he was being maltreated. But people from New York has already proclaimed that, well, good riddance, because he wasn't paying taxes here anyway.
Yeah.
And he's very rich guy, right? But
Yeah.
he's not paying taxes in New York. So what good does he do?
Actually, you know, when I used to live in New York City, so many rich people in New York City live in Florida because their license plate is from Florida.
Yes.
Miami.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
You know,
because.
in Ferrari, you know, the license plate is from Florida.
Yep.
Oh,
So you know they're not paying taxes.
yeah.
Florida, low tax rate.
Yep.
Yes, very small
10%?
tax.
Yep.
Yeah, 10%.
Income tax is very
Yeah.
low. Yeah.
Also in the car insurance
Yeah.
rate is pretty low compared to the New York City.
That's why so many people. The climate plus the fact that the tax rate is much lower makes a lot of like senior citizens move to Florida
Yeah.
after
It's really
retirement.
cool.
Yeah.
But you know, many people live in the highest places in the tourist apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, they registered in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're not paying any taxes. That's kind of you can do it, and it's
Yeah,
not
but we can
illegal.
not illegal.
It's
yeah.
not illegal,
Yeah.
but actually, like morally speaking,
Mm.
this shouldn't be possible. So if you really want to have residence somewhere, you should be paying taxes there. So we really need to think about what we can do there. But anyway, technology. Basically, if we read the headlines anywhere, we can see here automation could replace 1.5 million jobs. Robots could take over 20 million jobs by 2030, and millions of jobs have been lost to automation. These are the headlines. Now, today I would like to look a little bit on, okay, so if this is true, which jobs are we going to lose, and what can we do about it? So I'd like to start with the first video that shows 15 jobs that will be automated within the next few years.
Replaced.
Video rendering, fake video.
Yeah, so kind of like
That's what you
they make.
Another one.
No, this is just the next one.
But Edo-san, if in the China, China has many factories. If many factories needs no workers, Chinese codes are confusing.
Well, I mean that's one of the reasons why we see like a lot of investment in actually not in the developed countries but in the developing nations, because they realize that they will be the first one to lose their job if they can't keep up. So robotics, etc. Even though actually the labor costs are lower in China, are lower in the Philippines, are lower in all these countries, they are the first one to suffer from the consequences of it, because that's their competitive advantage. Therefore, actually, these countries are particularly interested in investing in these technologies.
The Chinese government published 2025 manufacturing report. This is just only talking about future manufacturing, but content, all of those 10 issues is AI, everything. Not only manufacturing, transportation, airline, everything is AI. So they recognize they don't need any workers anymore. So what kind of industry we were switching to, replacing workers, which kind of training, education, and they published 2017, and the target is 2049. 2049 is the year of singularity. Okay.
2049. CCP's 100 years anniversary.
Singularity. Yeah, Singularity.
What is Singularity, Uno-san?
Huh? Oh, Singularity is machine brain is supersedes human being.
Oh,
Singularity.
Singularity.
Do you know the neurons? How many neurons?
I know.
One person? 1 trillion.
1 trillion?
1 trillion. But 2049 is machine supersede human being.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
2049.
it's
They can analyze everything neurons, human being, so they can do better than human being.
We'll come to Terminator.
Yeah, better than no. Better is the brain.
Only brain?
Brain. Like currently, machine supersede Japanese game like Go or Shogi, but everything like emotionally and kind of knowledge and skill and everything. So China target 2049, and they are preparing for how workers sustain their business, switching industries. That's the reason Trump recognized that kind of Chinese strategy, so they try to beat them.
Very cool design shirt you have.
You know that? This is a famous company.
What company is it?
This is Bison.
Python.
Bison.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I got it at the
Event.
Python event, and they have big event.
Mm.
One sponsor is they try to inviting a Python programmer, and that you went there, give me one, give me another one. I got 3 of them. This is a very good one.
Yeah, it's very
made in the States,
No,
not Japanese. Made in the States.
it's very cool design.
Yeah, no. This is
Just
cotton
a
is
logo.
good.
Yeah.
Better than Uniqlo.
Better than Uniqlo.
PyCom is very a rich event. I went there. They gave me many goods for recruiting programmer. I'm not the target for by them, but they distribute a lot of product, shirts and everything, books and once a year. And following month, I went to another PyCom event, Kimoto, and the following week, and he just you attended, right? Some of your blockchain equipment.
So which nationality owns that organization?
Japanese.
Oh,
But
really?
content organization is completely the same as American way, not Japanese way. And completely American way, organization. Very good. Recent Japanese organization, like kind of event and conference, and kind of PyCom is a similar kind of PyCom. Maybe they're going to have more westernized, not like Japanese guys. They're well organized. Just okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
What is 2050?
I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to say?
But I just skeptical for driver.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Just AI?
So drivers was the first one, and so actually, if we draw a parallel at pilots, like pilots used to fly a plane, right? Nowadays, autopilots can completely take their job. They can actually land and take off if you want, completely automated. But they still don't do it. Why not? And if pilots don't do it, why would cars be doing it? I wonder whether actually many
this
drivers
is
will become
simple
redundant.
because why they can eliminate because they cannot autopilot cannot make reaction for emergency.
But how about cars?
The same emergency. Just if you elder people get a license, he can drive in if rain coming here and also rough road, any kind of rocks, and people get in it suddenly. But elder people recognize. But auto driving they cannot recognize without experience. But we can give them any kind of experience for them. It's impossible. If you're going to give them, it takes 10 or 15 years to give them education, like AI, like a deep learning. It takes 10 to 15 years. give them kind of education. Not easy.
But airplanes,
Airplane the same.
airplanes are completely-
Airplane kind of, you know.
Landing and
Why they can ask
Manually.
for the replacing people, like airplane flying, thunder coming to hit the plane. Autopilot cannot take care of how they're going to treat it. Just emergency accidental phenomena is automatic. Autopilot cannot handle it. But normal, the same way and same situation, same environment, you can do everything, whatever the kind of. But something happen, and anytime, sometime, okay, not always, but sometime something happen. So this is exceptional things happen. Autopilot cannot treat how to do that. So man should join with them.
I'm sorry.
Man should join. Should join with them,
Yes.
and then autopilot will go into caution to the pilot, and pilot watching outside. Then okay, we're going to, and the autopilot system, we're going to ask him some cases. I don't know how to handle it, so human being going to handle it. Right?
Oh, well, we should be able to control it remotely, no?
No, remote is very difficult to remote control because currently the drone system most big difficulty is from screen. Okay, they cannot judge this person, working person, is a terrorist or ordinary people. Very difficult to make judgments through screen, so they cannot handle everything. Currently, battle. Okay, a drone and helicopter, drone, airplane is attacking for terrorists. Most concerned American army, navy, is problem is they can recognize they're ordinary people or terrorists or enemy.
Well,
This is the most concern.
now hottest news in the Netherlands is that actually a Dutch fighter jet has been attacking attacking a target in Iraq, and they actually killed a number of innocent civilians. But this was a manned plane. This was not an unmanned plane. So that problem is there anyway.
Yeah, but manned plane is same similar thing happen, but unmanned plane and just
Same.
viewing a screen
Yeah.
more frequently they misconduct, right? Just you can see this.
Yeah.
They have
Actually,
7,000 pilot working at Las Vegas
Yeah,
every day.
I have seen the documentary.
Every day, yeah.
The base is in Las Vegas.
7,000
Also, there are one
pilot.
more bases, but I forgot.
Yeah.
7,000 people watching
Drone
screen.
manipulator.
Yes.
This is very dangerous. And some person is they got drunk yesterday,
PTSD.
or some person
PTSD.
got problem with his wife, but he's coming to the take a seat and the pilot seat even if he get drunk, right? Or he get mad, but he just watching screen and
Yeah.
actually he does not driving by himself. So, but sometimes he take coffee and 5 minute break, but plane go ahead to kill them. This is not easy.
Yeah, the
You
many
know?
soldier PTSD. In the daytime is
Exactly,
operating.
this is the problem.
Like
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we cannot delegate autopilot. We cannot delegate auto-drive.
What's what?
But one thing is capable very soon. Okay, like American truck is 90% they are running on highway.
Yeah.
So 90% highway on running highway, they don't need any driver. But get on the highway and get off highway, and they need drive. So it means we cannot.
Maybe they
eliminate-
don't need it, but maybe the legislation will force them to.
No. What I'm talking about, what they're planning is, get on highway, or the driver get off from the turnpike.
Yeah.
Then get off the highway. At that time, another driver get on the truck.
Yeah.
So it means they're saving 90%. It means 3.5 million driver. Maybe they don't need 3.5 million driver. They need to just only the 500,000 or 700,000 people drivers. Not good enough instead of 3.5 million drivers.